CBSSports.com, team needs and notable free agents. For the Browns, they list the notable teams without a first-round pick. Defensive tackle, linebacker, wide receiver, and edge. Now, Jack Conklin's not a free agent. They signed him to an extension, so they kind of missed that one. They weren't paying attention or whatever. So you see the free agents that are likely not going to be back. Of all those, I think they got to readjust their thinking for defensive tackle. I think that got exposed as a huge, man, we can't do that again.
Oh, and there were a lot of us who first guessed their strategy on that. You can't keep taking third, fourth round guys who don't have very high ceilings and just don't make that sort of impact. And when your top free agent is a guy that everybody in Jacksonville couldn't wait to get rid of in Taven Bryan, you've got to aim higher than that. I know that the quote unquote money ball dictates that you don't spend a lot of money on your defensive line. I think it's time to recalibrate that because we're seeing it. If you look around the league at some of the bottom feeding teams, the Chicago Bears don't spend very much money on their defensive line. They're terrible. The Browns didn't spend very much on their defensive line. Their defensive line outside of Myles Garrett is not very good, and it impacts the guys behind them too. And I do think that if you spend more on your defensive line, you can maybe skimp a little bit more on the linebacker. We'll see if they approach it that way, but that's something that I've been talking with a couple of guys behind the scenes that that's one of the theories that we have for what this offseason will entail is that do they value defensive tackle more because they realize that they've erred in it for God knows how many years since Sheldon Richardson walked, certainly, that they have to do more and that there's a ripple effect of that it will make Myles better. It will make whoever is playing across from Myles better. It will make the guys behind them better. I'm a big believer in that. And I hope that this front office has come to that epiphany as well. We'll see.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying you got to go get an all-pro guy. You just got to get a guy that can stand firm and hold double teams and absorb block, especially if you want guys like Jacob Phillips, Tony Fields, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, a fast, undersized line. You completely eliminate their effectiveness if they can't, if the defensive linemen are at their feet constantly.
You can't be small up front and small at linebacker. You got to choose one or the other. The way the NFL is going right now, you don't want to be too big at linebacker because that means you're too slow. You need those guys to be able to cover tight ends and running backs and so forth. So if you've got to add some serious block, I would love for them to go out and get a pocket pushing nose tackle. Those don't go on trees. There are a couple of them available in free agency though, and it's also not a bad draft for them, even where the Browns are picking. So they're going to have some options there. Let's hope that they use it because for me, it's the number one need on the team.